I kicked my grandmother's clay jar to pieces and threw her only pair of shoes into the garbage because I didn't like my grandmother, not just because she was mute, but because she was dirt poor. Back then I had no idea that this old woman I despised would become the person I'd regret hurting most for the rest of my life. One day I was playing video games. My grandmother had bad eyesight. She came over trembling, holding out a needle and thread for me to help. I was too caught up in my game. I waved her off with an annoyed look and even messed with her by pulling the thread way too long. Soon after my game console died, I went to my grandmother for money to buy batteries, but she turned her pockets inside out and came up empty. I was furious, so while she napped, I stole the silver hairpin from her head and ran to town to trade it for batteries. When she woke up and couldn't find her hairpin, she had no choice but to stick a broken spoon in her hair. And since I'd thrown away her shoes, she had to walk barefoot down the rocky mountain path looking for me. The next day, my grandmother took me to the market to sell vegetables. I had a crush on a girl there, and I didn't want her to see me with my shabby old grandmother, so I tossed aside the basket of vegetables and hid far away. After selling everything, my grandmother didn't buy herself a pair of shoes. Instead, she spent every penny on a brand new pair of sneakers for me. And how did I repay her? On the bus ride home, I was terrified my classmates would make fun of me, so I blocked the door and shoved my grandmother off with all her bag, then rode away without her. It wasn't until sunset that she finally appeared limping down the road to save the bus fare. She had carried that heavy basket on her back and walked the mountain path all afternoon. Even after all that, I still didn't know any better. That night, I showed her a flyer and threw a tantrum crying that I wanted KFC. My grandmother couldn't read. She grabbed some wild vegetables she had dug up and headed out into the pouring rain to sell them for money. When she came back, she was soaked to the bones, but clutched tightly in her arms was a live chicken. She made me a pot of steamed chicken, but because it wasn't fried chicken, I got so angry that I smashed my bowl on the floor. She didn't get mad. She just quietly knelt down and picked up the scattered rice to eat herself. That night, I woke up hungry and secretly ate the chicken. But the next day, my grandmother fell ill. For the first time, I felt a pang of guilt. One day, I went out to play alone. My grandmother pressed a small box into my hand. I didn't think much of it and hopped on my scooter racing down the hill. I crashed and scraped my knee badly. I could only limp back home. And then I remembered the box. I opened it. Inside were 2 brand new batteries, bought with money she had scraped together by going without. In the distance, I saw my grandmother hurrying toward me with worry on her face. In that moment, I couldn't hold back anymore. I ran into her arms and burst into tears.